US Defense Secretary James Mattis is in Pakistan and has met with Prime Minister Shahid Abbasi and other top officials of the Pakistani establishment. The White House put out a statement that Pakistan has not been consistent with its claims that it is not a safe haven for terrorists. Mattis earlier visited Egypt and Jordan. When asked if he would bring up the issue of safe havens to terrorists with Pakistan, this is what he had to say.
If the first thing I'm going to do is do some listening, like I always do. My goal is to find common ground. We know we have some common ground. They have lost hundreds, thousands of their troops killed and wounded by terrorists. They have lost hundreds, thousands of their innocent people murdered and wounded by terrorists. So we know that there's common ground.
Meanwhile, CIA Director Mike Pompeo has given a stern warning to Pakistan. Pompeo said that if Islamabad does not act against terrorist safe havens on its soil, then the United States would be forced to destroy them on its own.
The IC tell me this should be a part-time job now. It is all of that, incredibly focused. Secretary Mattis is actually traveling in the region here before too long and is going to make clear the president's intent. I think Secretary Mattis will deliver the message that says we would love you to do that. That is, that safe haven inside of Pakistan has worked to the detriment of our capacity to do what we needed to do in Afghanistan. And in the absence of the Pakistanis achieving that, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that that safe haven no longer exists.
Joining me on the broadcast is WION's Islamabad Bureau Chief, Taha Siddiqui. Good evening, Taha. We believe Mattis has already had a meeting with the Pakistani Prime Minister and other senior officials of the Pakistan establishment. What details do we have on their meetings and deliberations?
Well, the information that has come out as of yet is very sketchy, and we do not really know as to what was discussed. And usually in the past we've seen in such cases that the Americans later on release a different statement and Pakistanis release a different statement. But definitely we do know that the conversation was based on the most important topic between the two countries, which is about safe haven inside the Pakistani territory. We do know that very senior government officials are present in this particular meeting, so it becomes of significant importance. Not just the Pakistani Prime Minister, but the National Security Advisor, General Janjua, then the DG ISI, who's the intelligence chief of the military. He's also present in the meeting, and then the Defense Minister, and then the Interior Ministers. All of these people who are dealing with law enforcement and the security policy of the country are part of this particular meeting. We have been told that the meeting was ongoing up until 30-40 minutes ago. We haven't heard a conclusive remark coming out of the meeting as of yet.
Right. And Taha, how long is James Mattis supposed to stay in Pakistan? When is he leaving from here?
Well, earlier on, from the United States side, Pentagon confirmed to the press that he will be meeting with the Pakistani Prime Minister and then meeting with the Army Chief. So as of yet, his meeting with the Army Chief has not happened, or the details of it have not been shared with the media. So we are expecting that particular meeting should happen, and then after that particular meeting, which is more important than, in my opinion, than what the meeting with the Pakistani Prime Minister, given the fact that the Army Chief is the one that really runs the security and the defense and the foreign policy in the country. So that particular meeting is supposed to happen later on, but for optics reasons, we've always seen that whenever foreign diplomats and dignitaries come to Pakistan, they meet the civilian leadership first, right, and then meet the military leadership after.
Absolutely. And also, Taha, the fact that the United States, they have been expressing their displeasure ever since Hafiz Saeed was allowed to walk free. Now, what are the chances of James Mattis raising the release of Hafiz Saeed seriously and more authoritatively with the Pakistani establishment?
Well, it seems, from what I'm gathering from Islamabad, talking to people here, the very fact that, the court allowed Hafiz Saeed to walk free after that delinking of, Lashkar-e-Taiba from the aid that the United States gives to Pakistan. After that happened, particularly, a lot of not many people in Islamabad expect that they will be talking about Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jamaat-ul-Dawa or Hafiz Saeed. More focus will be on the Haqqani network. And some people also feel, some analysts that I've been speaking to in Islamabad, they feel that the very reason that the Lashkar-e-Taiba was delinked from the aid conditions that the United States has on Pakistan is sort of a carrot-stick method that give something to Pakistan so that in return they give something back in return in the sense of the Haqqani network or the Afghan militancy, which is more important to the United States.
Right. And Taha, of late we have seen an approach from the United States where it appears to be a flip-flop of sorts. There have been times when Donald Trump has been slamming the Pakistani establishment for its support to terror groups and networks. And then we have days where Donald Trump goes on to say that he is having a good relationship with the Pakistani authorities. Now, how is this changing situation and changing stance by the United States being viewed in Pakistan?
Well, Raghvendra, to begin with, I mean, this is what, in Islamabad, when people discuss Trump's policy, that's what people talk about, that he's unpredictable. And 1 minute we do not know if he's going to be with Pakistan as an ally, or the other minute he's going to totally disregard Pakistan's relationship with the United States. But definitely Pakistan has come under a lot of heat in recent months, especially ever since Trump announces policy for AFPAC region, which was announced in August this year. And after that, and in that, Pakistan was singled out as a terrorism sponsor in the region.
Right.
And so because of that, definitely Pakistan has felt the heat from the United States.
Right. Hold that thought, Taha. We are also joined on the phone line by Mr. Qamar Cheema. He's a security and defense analyst from Pakistan. Good evening, Mr. Cheema. How seriously are you viewing this visit of James Mattis to Pakistan? And do you think America would be raising its concerns relating to the release of Hafiz Saeed and also the fact that US has been slamming Pakistan for supporting terror safe havens?
Well, I think there has been some sort of a technical adjustment between the American and the Pakistani government, and that is why Secretary Mattis is visiting Pakistan, one thing. Second, you might have seen there have been, the Congress approved the law, the Defense Authorization Act 2018, and in fact they have separated LET from the Haqqani network. So that is why the Secretary Mattis is visiting now, because the Americans want that the Pakistani authorities should fully concentrate on Afghanistan and Haqqani network, so that although Pakistan denies all what the American narrative is on Haqqani network, that is very important. But you remember last time Secretary Mattis visited India and Afghanistan, and he bypassed Pakistan because at that time things were not so good between both the countries, and they really wanted some homework to be done for that. And now the Americans are reimbursing $700 million to Pakistan, the amount which the Secretary Ashton Carter didn't give because he didn't authorize and he didn't give a certificate to Congress on that amount. So we find that the things are fine between Pakistan and India. That is why Ashton Carter is here. But since that is why Secretary Mattis is here. But one thing is important, that since Secretary Mattis has taken office, this is his first visit. So he's bringing hot and cold both messages for Pakistan, because he has to represent his president, who delivered a very harsh speech on 21st August 2017 about Pakistan. So we believe that things will be fine, and this visit is very positive and constructive between both the countries.
Right. Hold that thought, Mr. Cheema. We are also joined by senior journalist Arsalan Bhatti from Pakistan. Good evening, Mr. Bhatti. This visit by James Mattis to Pakistan at this point in time, when the relationship between both the countries, United States and Pakistan, it's not on the best of terms, so to say. How do you view this visit, and what do you think Mattis's message to the Pakistan establishment would be?
The visit of Secretary Mattis is very important in the current situation which was going on between India, Pakistan, and especially Afghanistan, and war against terrorism. Secretary Mattis has clearly, open-heartedly listened to the Pakistani stance on the fight on terrorism. and he was of the view that Pakistan has done enough. But what he said, according to sources and openly, what he said was you should do more tougher steps against the terrorism, so that the terrorism in this region could be eliminated then and there. He also agreed to talk about the Pakistani concerns on Afghanistan, whether all the issues which were pertaining to Afghanistan, especially for the last 1 year, all the terrorist activities had been done from the or operated from the soil of Afghanistan. Therefore, the Pakistani Prime Minister, Mr. Shahid Abbasi, had clearly told that America should nail the Afghanis in on this issue, and took to the task all the people involved in these terrorist activities in Pakistan.
Right. Thank you so much for your perspective, Mr. Bhatti. Also thanking Mr. Qamar Cheema and WION's Islamabad Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui for those updates and perspective.